I just wanted to say welcome and thank you so much for joining us today for the speed learning session, Hammering Down a Successful Women's Build, focusing on what works for women's build fundraising campaigns. And I am so excited to have you joining me today as we run through that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again so you can see the slide and presentation as we go through. Perfect. So I am excited to, share today with you, and I'm going to kind of go through our agenda for the day. For the short 30 minutes that we've got, it's packed full. I'm going to do a little introduction of myself. Then we're going to move into kind of Giveffect best practices for women build from the Habitat affiliates that we work with and what we've seen work best. The next section is going to be an interview with Liz Qua, our executive director or the executive director of Habitat of Boone County. And she's going to talk through kind of her Habitat's women build strategies. Then we're going to move into about the last 5 minutes to the open time where we can kind of address some of the questions that are coming through on the comments that you're leaving today. So moving on to kind of the introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Leah Wren, and I am a nonprofit solution consultant here at Giveffect. My background is I got a degree in management and nonprofits. Didn't right away start into the nonprofit world. I worked in corporate meetings and events and trade shows, which greatly translates into fundraising. My passion has always been nonprofits. So I also am a co-founder of a nonprofit. It's an animal rescue and low-cost services. So during business hours, I am connecting with other nonprofits and helping you guys strategize and plan. And then after hours, I'm working on my nonprofit. Perfect. So now we're going to move into the actual, I just have 2 slides or 3 slides of presentations and talking through my speed learning session here today. So interesting statistics that we pulled from you, exactly. Kind of, do you hold women builds? That was the question we asked. And it was interesting to find out that 77% of attendees said that they currently do women's build, and 23% said that they have done it in the past or not yet. So we understand that you guys are wanting to know about women's build and you're really having interest in raising additional funds. The ratings of your online feedback results from last year on your online fundraising was 50% were far from what we needed to hit or were non-existent. So we understand that there's challenges, and having the tools in place for being able to do online fundraising goes hand in hand. We also think that, online fundraising is about your team empowering women and giving them the tools to go into the community and fundraise on your behalf. So, like I said, how can you do one without the other? The other great thing I like to highlight here is our current client successes, right? Our top Habitat for Humanity raised over $505,000 in just one women's build. We also see teams doing peer-to-peer team sizes consisting of anywhere between 8 to 12 teams, all the way up to 35 to 52 teams, which you'll hear from Liz today as well, kind of on her process of setting those up. We totally understand how important empowering women is for the women's build, and we're going to kind of get through that today. So now we're going to kind of discuss women's builds, right? What are women builds about? We know that it's important to kind of connect with the community and the recruitment of influential women. Great resources that we have seen being helpful in kind of developing that peer-to-peer functionality and growing your teams is women leadership summits, groups in your city and state, um, looking at colleges and local sports teams or high schools and clubs, and really getting that kind of competitive challenge feature, right? You've got, maybe it's a firefighter and a police department, and they're really kind of challenging each other to see who raises the most amount of money. The other great slide that I have presented over here as a visual is women built business owners, right? This graphic shows the top 10 states that have women-owned business owners, really tapping into that resource and being able to engage. The second point is kind of providing clear goals and ease of registration. I'm sure you've been on other or looking at when you're trying to find other campaigns and ideas, and you want to make sure that your goals are easy and clear to understand. I don't want to steal Liz's thunder, who's going to be joining us here in a little bit, but she fine-tuned her individual and team requirements over the years, and she found that her sweet spot was $250 for individuals on their team, up to 10 people on their team, raising $2,500 total of 10 people to qualify for a build. So she set that restriction. She made it really clear on her campaign. The other pieces that we've seen is maybe you're not ready for that team peer-to-peer, but setting individual goals. We've seen a lot of our habitats use just individual participants fundraising and setting a goal for that person one-on-one, and making sure that they're realistic and not going to scare people away, especially if it's your first time. You don't want to shoot for $2,000 and that turn away people. So it's really setting a realistic expectation. The other great piece that we also see habitats using for Women's Build, like I mentioned, is now maybe they just want to sell tickets. So they've set a goal, and now they're able just to do a ticket, buy it now and purchase your ticket to go ahead and fundraise. Probably one of my favorite parts of working with Giveffect and working with nonprofits is the innovative ideas. Really being able to have a resource and a team behind you, a Giveffect team behind you that helps you create and come up with ideas, launch parties. We have seen basically building kind of frameworks out before you actually have your women's build helps you connect and keep your teams and individuals engaged. We've seen launch parties with ticket sales to kind of have that money also go towards your women's build. Brunches with raffle tickets, getting a group to kind of do a couple of raffle baskets and have those funds also go. I know this is another part that Liz may talk to today. Third-party campaigns. So maybe there's one of your teams on your registration reaches out and they want to set up a third-party campaign. They can do that from their supporter view and then also have those funds kind of go towards their team contributions. It's all about setting up that establishment between your teams and kind of your teams and your internal team. I could keep going on and on about ideas, and that's probably one of my favorite parts. I like that creative side. Motivations, the last piece is kind of the motivations and rewards that you get, right? How are you going to get individuals and teams nailed down? For me, I want to basically present a motivation or a reward that gets my team involved. Kind of like when, you did the fundraisers or your kids did fundraisers and they sold popcorn containers, or maybe it's that wrapping paper, right? It's being able to set goals for teams, maybe individuals, where they get a t-shirt if they hit a certain level of fundraising. I know Liz talked about this, and I've seen this on other Habitat affiliates, sites. It's specialized tickets to maybe a dinner or the open house of the house that they've built, right? Or a gala ticket because now they've raised money. That motivation helps them get to their goals. The other piece is maybe you, for that peer-to-peer functionality or even the individual participants fundraising, uh, who doesn't want to win a top dog award, right? Maybe it's that Team Women's Build tool belt, right? They get a tool belt of the year, and they also maybe or get a pink hammer. There's just lots of creative ideas that really kind of motivate the information. So then from there, I just wanted to kind of slide on into introductions of Liz here. Liz, thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
I'll do my little introduction and then we'll kind of hop right into the interview side of the questions. And then we'll have whatever time is remaining for kind of the Q&A and open questions. So please feel free to drop those questions in, keep them coming in the chat, and we will kind of hop to those once we get to that section. So I would like to introduce Liz Qua, the Executive Director for the Habitat of Humanity of Boone County. She has done and has had an amazing career, and like many of you probably on this call, has worked her way through the Habitat Humanities and has been the Executive Director since 2017. I think that's amazing, being able to start and learn and understand everything that a Habitat does. She also has a heart for volunteering and has a variety of experiences serving with other organizations in the greater Indianapolis area. Connecting with the community and engaging all helps you kind of set that framework. So I think that's great as well. So Liz, welcome. And I'm going to kind of stop sharing my screen and we're going to have this time for us to be able to chat through some of the Q&As that we received prior based off of registrations. Mm-hmm. So the first question is, how long have you been doing Women's Build?
So we started in, this is our 11th Women Build. Our 10th was last year, big celebration for that. And you know, it just really started with the idea of how can we empower women in our community, which is obviously being a female and I have experience in male-dominated fields. You know, that's a passion of mine. So really excited that we are on our 11th Women Build. We do build the entire house. Our Women Build does build the entire house. It's not part of a house. It does complete from start to finish, from foundation to the very end.
That's great. 11 years. I mean,
yeah.
So we're gonna kind of drive into those. Maybe that first year. Recall what problems did you overcome to get where you are today? Maybe both internally and externally.
Sure. So, you know, you don't know what you don't know, right? When you start into something. So we started with we live in Indiana, we're in Indiana. So there's, you know, we have a winter for sure. It's not like Florida where there's not such a winter. But we started our first Women Build and it was in the spring. And the weather was very challenging. It was very rainy. There was sleet. There was, you know, a lot of problems. So the first thing I would say is, you know, pick a time where the weather's better. The last 10 of our Women Builds have all been in the fall. Summer is more challenging, I will say, for just speaking from, you know, a mom's side of things. It is more challenging to get the women on site. But if you can plan a time when the kids are in school, it does seem to it's better. You'll have a better team turnout. We also had to juggle around with the size of teams. And our main goal is really to have an incredible on-site experience. We work hard for that. We want those people to grow a heart for us and to come back, right? So whoever it is, if it's, you know, a corporation or a Women Build team, it's the same for everybody. So just figuring out what the right size of team was so that they stayed busy the whole day and that they were empowered to learn a task and then do the task and complete, you know, throughout the day. And then they leave the day feeling like they've really done something for their community. And that's really our goal. Um, we also kind of juggled around with providing lunch, not providing lunch. We've, for the last 10 years, have done the team provides the lunch, and that works out great. People say, oh my gosh, that's so hard. It's not hard at all, because you'll find every team has women that don't want to come on site, so they provide the lunch, or everybody pitches in $10 and they get Jimmy John's or whatever. So that part all works out. There's never been a problem. It's all great. Um, and just, problems, we've, in the very beginning, obviously, we had no kind of sign up. It was like I think we may have even had like a sign up genius or something at the very beginning. I was a team leader that year, and I can't remember exactly how it went down, but, so it was not formalized in any way. And then slowly we moved through different kinds of software that would allow some sort of more formalized sign up, where they sign up and sign the waiver at the same time, that kind of stuff. I think we've moved to a really good place where not only do they sign up, they also pick their day. They can send the link to have their team sign up. It's just super smooth. So
Yeah.
that's been really helpful too for
Well,
us.
and I know too that you also mentioned kind of previously with me and you talking about this, the committee side, right? Really structuring that committee.
Huge. Yeah.
I
So
think, did you have that? Did you have that right at the beginning
we
or?
did. We
Okay.
did. We knew that. So we have a strong volunteer base with our organization. We're a small county, just 70,000 in our county. So it's not a big place to be, but we do have a really strong volunteer base, about 1,000 volunteers a year pass through our doors in some fashion. So we knew that we needed help with this, and since we hadn't done it, and I think we probably followed in the footsteps of what others had told us to do. We had always have had a volunteer of 3 people that have kind of led the charge for the Women Build. One is typically in charge of all the communications with the teams. We actually have a womenbuild@boonehabitat.org email, so it doesn't go to a personal email. It's more generalized. That's huge. We have one that does the t-shirts. Every woman gets a t-shirt. We have a different logo for every year, a different theme for every year, which is fun. And then we have one that works on just the lunches to make sure that we're coordinating with those teams to make sure we know who the lunch provider is, how are they going to get it there, all of that. So it's a well-oiled machine.
That's right. And like you said, you grow, right? You start at a tier.
Absolutely.
And I think the other piece that you kind of mentioned, the timing, but it's also kind of that sweet spot, right? The $250.
Yeah.
Tried higher before and then
Right.
found that that didn't work. So it's kind of structuring that.
It's
Um,
true. We have found with our organization that that 25, we do have several corporate teams. Amazon has several teams. Actually, we have 2 Amazon locations that have 4 teams. And we have other corporations. And it seems like that $2,500 is kind of a sweet spot. It doesn't need as many signatures to get approved. A lot of the organizations are excited about allowing just women. Of course, the men get a little jealous, so we have a community build that's co-ed, but whatever, that aside. Yeah, so that's huge, is getting the right amount, where people aren't shocked by the dollar amount that they have to come up with.
I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. What would you say is the best way to engage with women to champion your builds? How have you seen the best?
So I mean, I think in the beginning when we started, if you're starting a women build, we really sort of contacted our tried and true organizations. So our churches are big partners of ours, corporations that are our small groups, that kind of stuff. We really hit, now this is back, I think 11 years ago, social media wasn't quite as big as it is now, right? So it was more, there was a local magazine that wrote an article, the newspaper wrote an article, kind of that, it just kind of more of a grassroots,
Grassroots.
how things used to be.
Yeah.
But I would say that it's really just hitting the targeting the organizations or partners that you already have to say, this is a great opportunity. We're excited to start this empowerment of women and stuff. And you're never going to get a negative over it. I mean, it's, people just get excited about it. So.
I agree as well. And it's that committee too, right? That the other teams, because you're
Mhm.
focusing on everything and then you've got three people that are kind of there to help you and support you. So it's really finding one, at least one volunteer that's going to be your champion that's going to
Yes.
help as well. Um, the other question that came through is how can we empower women through construction while engaging them to fundraise? It's kind of similar to the last one, but
Yeah, I mean, we been very upfront. There's no misconception that when you come on the Women Build, it is a quote unquote, it's not a great way to say it, but it's a pay to play. Right, so to come on our build site, you will need to help us, and this build is funded and built by women. So to making sure you use that lingo to say, this is what it is. It's not, we have pride in building it, but we also have pride in the fact that we were able to fundraise for it. So, and it really does, it really works.
no, I mean that makes sense too. And I know you said you have like the maybe people to help kind of train and show them, but then they're really put the hands back into their control of doing the work and building.
Absolutely. We have what we call hammers, which a lot of people may have some kind of core crew, tiger crew, that, regular volunteers that come on site give us 1 day a week, and they're really good with volunteers. So they take a group of 3 and show them how to do siding or wiring or, whatever the task of the day is. And it's the whole, and we're told they're told our spiel in the morning is they're not here to do the work for you. They're to show you how to do it, and then you will do it. And, typically
That's
the morning is learning the trade or the skill. You have a lunch for fellowship, and then the afternoon is run with it, right? So.
yep. No, I mean that's I think that's fun. I know I actually helped in a habitat build before, not a women's build, but I know I want to. Um, the other question I received is how can we make this opportunity meaningful to high profile women in the community who can leverage their connections?
Mhm. I mean, I think that goes back to where your partnerships are, right? And I mean, strong women, like to engage in that and share that. And it really is a word of mouth. Like we do have several organizations that have multiple days, right? They have multiple women build teams. And then, churches that have multiple women build teams. So it really is, if you can find those leaders in your community that will then share, and hopefully they're already partnering with you and you've already grabbed onto them. And like you said, women-owned businesses are obviously the way to go, but there's a lot of states that don't have that. But
That's
there's still women leaders out there that can get
true.
it going. You've got your even local governments, your community foundations, your other nonprofits that will help. So there's a lot of connections out there that can be made.
I agree. I mean, and they might not be a woman business owner, but
Mhm.
you've got coaches in your high
Yeah,
school that are
HR.
you've got yeah, HR, you've got other departments and organizations that you can reach out to.
Mhm.
My nonprofit connects with like a crocheting company, a club,
Mhm.
in the high school level. So it's really about just reaching out and kind of digging in. I can't believe we're already into the 5 minute
Oh my
time
gosh.
open. I know,
Really
right?
quick, I want to say we've also
Yeah.
done like mother-daughter stuff. So, we do have they have to be at least 16 to be on our build site with a parent or over 18. But we've had mother-daughters that is also really, really fun. I don't want to miss that. That's
No,
been a really fun one too.
that's what I was going to say before I opened it up to the Q&A and looking at
Mhm.
those. I wanted to say,
Yeah.
is there anything else that you thought of?
The other thing I'll say really quick is we have a private Women Build Facebook page. And that is awesome. We try to get all of the participants to join that. That way we always share the pictures from the day because not everybody wants to be out there on, regular Facebook or social media. And then also we share things that are going on, the landscape day that's coming up, the house dedications, that kind of stuff. So that's been awesome too.
That's perfect. And I did want to say we can extend this for an additional 5 minutes to kind of get through as many questions as we
Mhm.
want. If that's good, if you have to jump off, we understand as well. But we've got time for the Q&A to kind of talk through kind of the questions. We've got some good ones coming in. Um,
Good.
before you leave and before the session is over, you will have three kind of things to do. So It'll be a quick survey. We appreciate you if you do hop off to do that. It helps us provide resources for your habitats in the future. Okay, we're gonna hop into the Q&A and probably cover some areas that we've talked through and discussed already. I'm gonna kind of scroll through here and start at the top so I can kind of make sure I'm gathering the questions.
I think I saw one that was about what if teams don't fully fund? And if you look at our Facebook or our Giveffect Women Build campaign page, we have like a couple two that I think our top two teams are right at like they've raised $10,000. And having said that, there is a lot of big donations that went into those. But then if you go down, you'll also see grassroots where people have done the dine to donates. Those are big, right? Somebody did a domino, which I thought was hilarious, a domino fundraiser, a pickleball fundraiser, bake sales. I mean, all of that stuff is still stuff that goes into, the fundraising part. So if they don't fully fund, I'm sorry, let me say this really quick. We do have ones that don't fully fund. We work with them along the way. Some don't fully fund. But we do try to, we'll send them their page link again. We'll say, please share this. We try to encourage them to share the Giveffect link, so that they can fundraise and tell them how easy that is. So we try to help
Well,
them.
and I think the other piece too is it's not even, it doesn't even come across as Giveffect. It's branded with your
Right,
website too. So they don't
right,
even know,
exactly.
but it's the nice, pretty platform.
Exactly.
Can you talk through how many total days you do for your build?
We do 35. So a normal build for us is 32 to 35 days. The women build is always 35 days. I will tell you that build is almost never behind schedule. Women are very competitive. They want to know that their team did the most that day that any team has ever done, which makes it super fun. They also do get competitive with fundraising. Those top groups, you'll see we have a certain date and time that the cutoff, and then they get, the awarded the top 3 teams for a dinner in our local community, so that's really fun too. So, yeah.
And I think we kind of mentioned and we kind of talked through this one. Basically, their affiliate has not been successful with women's builds. So they're starting from ground zero again. And where do you recommend starting to recruit women's groups? I think we kind of talked through that, the churches, kind of how you said.
I would absolutely just keep encouraging people, share it on your social media pages, really hit your leaders in your community. And then it really is, we probably have out of 35 teams, over 20 of them that come back, the same teams every year, and they've been doing it for 11 years, but just don't give up. I know I've got a local affiliate next door to us that does 12 days of a build, right? So she doesn't do the full build yet. So maybe she's working towards that. So, I encourage you to just try at least 12 days, do a half of a build, so.
Yep. And kind of how does it happen? So what happens if your team doesn't raise the total amount? I know you have that structured that way. Do you kind of reach out to them and what's
We do. We reach out to them. We try to encourage them to, like I said, share the pages, share their fundraising ideas, do a dine to donate. Do you have any friends that can help donate? No, we do try to work with them, and there are teams that don't fund. I mean, they don't fully fund. But typically most of our teams get right up there to 2,500, maybe slightly under, but most of them. I mean, we always overfund the 100,000. So that's very normal.
Yeah, so woohoo! I know
I know, because it costs us more than 100,000 to build a house.
Right,
That's just my
exactly.
nice round easy number to put on there. But yeah.
No, I agree. It's more than 100,000 to build it, but that's still amazing. That's 100,000 you didn't have before you started, so
Yeah, and it's easy. I mean, it's fun and it's easy, and yeah, it's great.
I've got another feedback. Basically, some of our teams had problems getting 10 women. So now we say women-led teams, and that allows them to kind of open it up to have, other people from, their group. So men are allowed. Have you
Right.
guys tried that before too, or?
No, we don't allow men. You know, our Hammer team has men and our site supervisor is a male, but otherwise, no, we don't allow men on the site. I will say, as far as like underfunded teams, sometimes we only have teams of like 4, and we won't, unless they can raise the 2,500, we don't push 2,500. We say, please just make sure you reach your personal goal of 250. So then
Okay,
they're funded at 4 times 250 or whatever.
okay, good,
You know what I
okay.
mean? So that kind of takes a little bit of the pressure off, and we encourage them to try and share it. So maybe over fundraise, but you know, that happens too.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, we've got a couple more questions. We've got a couple more minutes since we extended to, what about liability issues for skilled things like electrical? Do you outsource certain parts of the build?
We definitely have specialty, like we do not drywall. We used to drywall, we're not good at it. The women build, we do wire. We work with an electrician that is a volunteer, and it's a super popular thing that women love to learn wiring. So I don't know, if you know, I would encourage you to look around and see if you can find a partner that would be willing to work with the women. You know, it's really only maybe 4 teams, and there would be only a few people on each team that they would have to work with. They have to be wanting to be, you know, work with volunteers. But we're very fortunate in that way to have that as a skill that we can offer our ladies. So
No, I agree. When you set up this is my question now, right?
mhm,
Just talking about it. When you're
yeah.
setting up your registration and it's kind of having their days, are they labeled like electrical so they know this is their, or painting, or, that type of,
Right. We do have a build calendar that we set out. You know, we say it's not firm. We don't know for sure. Like the
right?
painting may not start on that day because the drywall's not done or whatever. But yes, it's a rough day. And we like to say the first 4 weeks are outside, the second 4 weeks are inside, roughly. You know, so yeah, I mean, we have a general build calendar that they do. So some like we have older ladies that like being at the end of the build because all they want to do is paint, but they still want to be on site. So just, you know, yeah, we have that available for sure.
Yeah, give me the hammer. I want to frame. I want to build the
Yeah,
structure, right?
exactly.
That's
Yeah.
me.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I do the painting too, so I can do both ends.
Yeah,
Uh,
we have ladies that come on site and we're laying LVP that day and they're like, I want to know how to lay LVP. You know, I want to know how to install a cabinet. I need to change the switch plates. I need to, you know, so they have certain things they want to do. So yeah.
yeah, I know, I
Super
agree.
empowering.
It is empowering. It is, because then
Mhm.
you can take those skills too in your home
Yep.
improvements, right?
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
so I've got, let's see, maybe one more question. Let's see. It sounds like one house is the women build house. Do you run
Mhm.
into issues of groups only wanting to build at that project, or do you run women builds during a fall week but allow groups to volunteer build site when you're not running campaigns? Okay, that makes sense. You could have women's builds, women still engaged in other builds.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But we do try to steer our women teams to the women bill just to make sure that that is, you know, we have the 35 teams, and that really is I'm going to say it's more of our signature build for the year. It always fully funds. Our other builds may not fully fund for what, like our faith build for whatever reason, never fully funds. So everybody has those, but the women build is really strong, and you know, it helps. We've been doing it a long time, but we have to stay on top of things too, right? We can't like let our guard down. We need to make sure it's a good experience every year for our, you know, we have team leader gifts that we give, you know, help the team to encourage team leaders to, you know, want to lead a team. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then the last question for real this time.
Mhm.
uh, or Yulia's got a question or two questions. Okay, perfect. How many teams are typically on site per day? So I think you said it, 35 teams,
Right.
one
Just one
for
per
one day,
day.
one per
Mhm.
day. Yep.
And
Okay.
they fundraise for their one day on site. Yep.
Okay. And Yulia, I don't see the
So
other. Yeah, go ahead.
it's in Q&A. It's super quickly and it's not prompted from Allison. What's the best software for builds, Liz?
Oh, you mean like for
From your
building stuff?
experience?
We
No,
don't,
no, no,
yeah.
for I think
Oh,
software.
fundraising?
I think for fundraising part
Oh,
for
okay.
setup.
So we've jumped around. We've used 4 different software since I've been around.
Ah,
And we've been with Giveffect twice, and you know, we have to say Giveffect's been great for us. So
Thank you. Thank you so much. And then there's a couple of people who ask a link to your fundraising, like peer-to-peer page. Can we share it with everyone
Absolutely.
who's on the
Yep,
call?
yep, yep.
Fantastic. Very last question. Another affiliate having a 10th anniversary build next year. And did you do anything special last year for your build? And congrats.
So for our build for the 10th anniversary,
For 10th anniversary.
So we always have a t-shirt we had a great logo. We did multicolored t-shirt, which everybody loved. And we had some fun kickoff stuff. We had balloons and different things, and, definitely tried to share that it was our 10th, did a lot more social media posts. And it did make it very exciting, especially for those that have done it for 10 years or whatever. So that was very fun.
Amazing. And the last one, how long do you release the campaign before the actual build starts?
Oh, that's a good question. So we'll usually do a kickoff, again, we're in the fall, so we're starting right around Labor Day. We'll start securing the teams like in June. And so they can, as soon as we open it up and we figure out what days and we get that build calendar set, usually beginning of July is when they can start signing up.
Yeah.
So a couple months before. And that helps to plan if they, what they're, like our teams, we have a lot of teams that do some great fundraising. So it gives them that chance to plan what their fundraising, plan is. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. 2 to 3 months. That sounds perfect. Thank you.
That I agree. And we'll keep reviewing questions and kind of get back with people that are giving additional questions or asking questions. I kind of have my last slide to wrap us up. Liz, thank you so much for joining us, and we appreciate your time as a partner with us. And we're thankful to hear from you and learn from you and learn from our habitats. That's what Giveffect is for. We're really that partnership. So thank you. If you'd like to get in touch with me and kickstart your journey with Giveffect, there is a QR code to schedule a demo or a conversation with me. And one of the things from attending this session is we are offering 5 hours of special strategy sessions to kind of talk through creative brainstorm, dig into some examples, and set up and structure planning for your habitat. So if you kind of set up and have a conversation with us on your team and move forward with Giveffect, that is something that you will get added to your group. Next week, we have another session with Habitat that Yulia will be leading. It's another speed learning session on fundraising. And then after you leave today, you'll have a 30-second survey. It's a couple quick questions. Again, like I said, we really appreciate your feedback. It helps us hone in on Habitat affiliates' needs and structure additional resources for you. So we appreciate you joining us today, and have a wonderful rest of your day and weeks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.